Okay, so I think almost everybody is here. It's about 88 of us now. There's still about 20 of you not in yet, huh? Okay, just to do some housekeeping work first, okay? Um, we actually had a conference last week, lah, huh? And therefore I actually missed two classes with you guys. Thursday was a public holiday, so there wasn't supposed to be a class on that day, okay? So I actually missed week two, session two, week two Thursday class with you, and last week Tuesday class with you. Okay, the Thursday, the week two Thursday class, the class notes and recording has already been posted up on eLips. Okay, last night I actually informed Nazaitu to ask you guys to go and take a look at the notes before you attend the class today, okay? But that one is posted already. There is an attendance record that you have to fill. It's about the 8 phases in the project life cycle, and you need to write the 8 phases, and please get it done before Friday midnight, okay? So that one will show your attendance for week 2 Thursday class, okay? So you have until yesterday, until Friday to complete that. That is only 8 phases of the project life cycle that you have to write the phases. I'm not asking you to write the detail, okay? Right. And today's class will essentially be a replacement, okay? A replacement for last week, Wednesday, okay? Tuesday, sorry. So this recording today will be posted up on the coming, it will be posted up on week 3, okay? Week 3 lecture class, okay? Or week 3 online face-to-face recording. There wouldn't be a Thursday class because last Thursday is a public holiday, okay? So I hope you understand. So I'll be posting this recording in week 3, okay? Week 3, Tuesday, okay? So everybody understand, okay? Just give me a yes, you know, like in the chat box or something if you do understand, okay? More or less. Okay, what we're trying to do is don't go searching for notes and then you guys are confused of where to find it, huh? Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So then this week's class, I will catch up with some recording as well for you all. I'll post some recording up from tomorrow onwards until Friday. I'll post some recording onwards to make up for week 4 lectures. Okay. Then next week we'll proceed back to do online face-to-face. Okay. By next week everything will be catch up all right already. So next week will be week 5. We'll be doing week 5 class. Okay. Also, at the moment, FK had a bit of an issue. So technically, we have a lockdown in FK. So I don't want to hear any panic or you guys hearing any rumors in from outside about Unimas and FK. But FK actually is having a lockdown now, and we cannot return back to the office because there are some issues. Okay. So all of us are actually working from home. So anything you can email me, or you can, get my number from Zaidatu. Is that her name? Can I shorten it in a way? Yeah. So I mean, it's a tough time for everybody. Very, very tough time for everybody. I am also feeling the stress as well. With everything because I'm one of the person that is being quarantined now at the moment. Yeah. So it's a tough time for a lot of people in the locality at the moment. Okay. But I do not want any one of you to panic and start to spread rumor. Just if any, just let them know that there are some issues with FK, but you're not sure what the issues are, and you're still doing online classes. You don't meet the lecturers, so you all are fine. There's nothing wrong with you all, okay? But again, we're trying to catch up as fast as we can with the lectures. And unfortunately, today I cannot show you any lecture notes because the close down was actually quite sudden. I actually emailed some notes for recording last Friday, but it wasn't complete, you see, so I have to give you a lecture without any lecture notes at the moment, okay? So unfortunately, please bear with me. These 2 weeks, you really have to bear with me. Some classes will have lecture notes, some classes don't have lecture notes. So I'll try to find it in some of my archive, whether I can get the old lecture notes or call my ex-students to actually pass me some of my lecture notes to be posted to you as soon as possible. So today's lecture, there wouldn't be any lecture notes. So you'll go see my face here only, sorry, and listen to the recording later on, okay? But yesterday, the one that I posted yesterday, that one, there is proper lecture notes, okay? So the notes are there, the recordings are there. Just only today, I think there's a one bit that I did not copy back, okay? So then the next 2 days, the recording, I do have some notes there. So not to worry. As long as I do online face-to-face, I think it's not so bad because you can ask questions. But if we do recorded lecture, I will make sure that there is some notes before I do the recorded lectures with you, okay? But we'll get past this week first and I'll see what I can do next week, okay? Any questions so far? All right. Okay, so today's lecture is actually a follow-up from the previous lecture. So previous lecture, we've gone through what is project, what is management, what are the functions of management, what is management control cycle, and then how that actually can be seen, you know, in also the project life cycle, the activities, the project life cycle also in a way sort of duplicate that manner of management control cycle, because every project have a life cycle, and that life cycle will go from ideas to planning, you know, to actually conceptualization, to planning, to development of the ideas, and then to actually going for the procurement and also construction, and then finally to hand over and commission with the client, and then follow up with things like defect liability period, and then closing up of the project, and then later on in operation phase, you know, and then finally in recycling phases. About 8 phases in the project life cycle. And I emphasize in the recording, and I'll emphasize here now, that please do not get management control cycle and project life cycle different. I mean, there are 2 different things. You need to read the questions carefully in test or in exam, whether I'm asking you to write about management control cycle or project life cycle. The word life cycle tells you is like human life, okay, life. There is a birth, then there is a death, okay? So there's a whole stretch there. That is the life cycle. Management control cycle, there's only 5 things, and that is planning, leading, organizing, controlling, monitoring. So, or corrective action. So there's only 5 things. So make sure that you know the difference very clearly, okay? So from after management control cycle, you understood about management. Project life cycle, you understand about project life cycle. And for those of you doing IP work, I think you are seeing the things that is happening in conceptualization, development, and planning. Basically, there are the 3 stages that you will see in your IDP. So you'll be doing conceptualization report up to week 5 or week 6, and then you're doing a preliminary design report, which is a development phase of a project. And then finally, you're doing a detailed design, which is the planning phase of the project. So in fact, project life cycle in IDP, you are actually covering 3 phases of the project life cycle. You stop at construction, at preparing tender documents, okay? So so I hope that actually you can see the, you know, alignment between IDP and also project life cycle, which we see in project management. So now you've actually understood what is project life cycle, okay, and you basically understand what is a project. You know, truly, I think for the past 2 weeks we've been telling you what is a project, why you need to manage project, what is it that is about a project that you need to manage, and why you as an engineer needs to manage a project. You know, so why is the purpose of you doing this class, and why is it so important that you grab hold of this knowledge? You know, we've been emphasizing all this basic understanding, basic knowledge of a project and the project life cycle management and the management control cycle. Okay, so engineering projects are very complicated. It is not like you're building it's not like you're building Lego, Lego, everything is in front of you. So for engineering projects, they are much more complicated because first and foremost, you deal with people. And then later on, you also deal with a lot of materials. You deal a lot with machineries. You also deal a lot with things like a labor, and subcontractors, and all these are actually very complicated, because everything has its own character that you need to understand, and you need to coordinate them together. You need to put them together. You need to make them work in harmony with one another. You need to make music out of it, and not everything is so simple. Everybody has their own agenda. Everybody has their own problem. Everybody has their own goals and objectives. And how are you going to put everything together, So management asks you to do that. Okay, so it's like you need to manage every component. Okay, so before we can go and talk about project management and how you manage the basic time, cost, quality, objective of a project, you need to know. So today's lecture is going to focus on resources. Okay, you need to know what are engineering resources, because each and every one of these resources you will be managing, and each and every one of these resources will go towards the contribution to the end of the project, whether it's successful or not. Okay, so basically you need to understand resources planning. Okay, you need to understand, in order to manage a project, you need to understand all your resources. Okay, so you cannot manage a project without understanding what you have in your hands, what power you have in your hands, what elements that you have in your hand, what weapon that you have in your hands, correct or not? Huh? So I'm going to talk about resources today, and engineering resources does not run away from these few categories. Number one is human resources, labor. Okay, labor, you have two things here. People, there's two things. One is management, okay, the managerial people, which starts from the site supervisory team onwards, all the way to the project manager, project director, and your company CEO and all that. So these are what we call an indirect labor, okay? Of course, site engineer, site supervisor, they are direct labor, but we talk about indirect labor, such as the companies, the construction company or the development company, your staff there, those are all indirect labor, but they contribute to the advancement of your project. They contribute to the ability that your project can be completed smoothly. Okay, so those are management level of resources. Okay, and without that resources, you probably cannot finish the job. Your director needs to go and get jobs. Your bosses needs to go and find jobs, and negotiate jobs, and then bring back and let you guys have a project. You see, so they are important. The clerk in the office, they are doing the paperwork. The accountant, they're doing paperwork. Yes, that's fine. It doesn't feel like they're contributing directly to the project, but they are. Without their existence, your company is not running. If your company is not running, there's no project running, in that sense. So, but direct site management people, like supervisory team, project management people, and also the site engineer, RE, resident engineers, these are people who will contribute directly to the management of that particular project. So their value is there. Okay, so meaning that if you calculate cost, you also need to calculate the aspects of these management people inside your project cost. And whether they are successful, whether your project can be brought along successfully or not, this management team is actually very, very important. If they are all around the site creating problems and making people very annoyed, and things are not running, your project cannot be completed on time, or if they're not doing their job by looking up the quality of aspects of the project, you are sure going to have problems like substandard, product and all that, and then end up having a lot of issues with the clients, and all that. So management team is a resources that is a focal point. So client will look for them, site people will look for them, you know, your authority will also look for them. So this management team in the site itself is very critical. Okay? It's a very critical resources that you must pick correctly and have it on site to manage the project. Then on the other hand, we also have a group who's going to be directly getting their hands dirty for the project, such as the laborer. So the laborer can be split into many categories. Some categories are like the highly skilled ones. These are people with certificates, you know, they are properly trained, like for example, the electrician, for example, the plumbers, for example, the main layers, for example, some of the welder. These are all certificate-based people. They have to go to school for it, and they have to go for exams for it, and they have to maintain license for it. So these are very skilled laborers. So skilled laborers do appear on site. Okay, they do. They are there all the time, actually. And they are semi-skilled labor. Semi-skilled labor means people like the carpenter. They have been working in this field for a long time. You know, they know how to bend bars. They know how to do concreting. You know, they know how to lay pipes, you know, but they don't have a certificate. But these are semi-skilled laborers, okay? And they are important because they are the people who's going to get their hands dirty. And you also have the unskilled labor. These are the general workers. They are the one that you have to be calling up, you know, can you bring this for me? Can you push the trolley here? Can you put the sand here? Can you get the bucket here? You know, can you get the nail here? Can you hold this here? Can, you know, like they are the hands people. They are all the hands that you have on site. So there's three categories. Basically, there's three categories of direct labor on site. So these are not management people, but they are on site. They are the one that will get their hands dirty. They can be machine operators also. They can be the hands-on people also. They can be the carpenter. They are the one that use the janko. They are the one that use the parang. They are the one that use the, you know, sewing machine. They are the one that, you know, really handling the dirty aspects of the job. These are the people that will get your things built, okay? So I think as management team, we have to respect these people, you know, and obviously there are skills when you try to, you know, be as the same team as these people. No, not all of them are educated. Not all of them understand where you're coming from. Not all of them feel like you are right. Not all of them will think that you are clever, you know. And you probably think that a lot of them don't know what they're doing, you know, and you probably think that they're lazy. And then some of them are very undisciplined. You get them to wear their safety hat. You get them to wear their baju for safety. They don't listen to you. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of this sort of like push and pull, you know, tug and war on site, you know, when you're trying to manage your labor. But with labor, it's about experience. It's about understanding. It's about trying to see where they come from. It's about motivation. It's about trying to get them to work the way you want them to work. It's about education. It's about telling them their problem. It's about telling them that if you don't do this, we will have this problem. It's about being a team. So these are the things that we probably can't really teach you here, like how to be a good engineer in that sense. But these are the aspects that you need to look out for. So labor on site is a very, very big thing. It's a very big resources. You know, if you have enough resources, you have enough of hands, you know, your party is going to be successful. You know, it's just like if you're holding a party for 100 people and you only have 2 cook and 2 kitchen helper, do you think you can actually finish cooking on time, you know? Same thing. You need to have enough of amount of management and resources, labor resources on site for your site to be clearly enough to finish the job, okay? But of course, there are a story that goes too many cooks will spoil the soup. And it is true. If you have too many people, too many supervisor, not enough worker, everybody standing there looking, but nobody getting their hands dirty, the job will never be done. And too many opinions sometimes. And labor is about being very systematic. There must be a way to look after their benefit, and there must be a way to pay them carefully every month. You know, so these are the management skills that you must have, you know, when you're managing labor on site, okay? And there must be a good record. Who's going to keep the record of how many laborers working today, who is on site today, you know, and where are they working, you know, which part of the job they're working, which part of the job is urgent, you know, and you also cannot have laborer on site that, this month there are 50 of them, next month there's 20 of them, then the next month there's only 10 of them, and then on the fourth month you're bringing in another 50, so we normally don't do that. We always keep a fixed amount of labor on site. So we will teach you about that, what we call resources leveling and resources loading after we finish time management, and this will help you to keep certain numbers of labor resources on site. Okay, so this is about labor, people. That is one of the major resources. Money, capital is a very big resources. Money is definitely the king. Okay, without any money, engineering project cannot. Contractor will pay for a lot of things first, before they get a claim up to you as an engineer. Before you certify and pay them, there will be 2 or 3 months or 4 months down the track. So contractor is actually your supporter. So don't think of contractor as the bad guy on site that will always want to cheat you. They actually pay for your project first, So they actually bring in the people, bring in the machineries, who's going to pay these people? On site, no money, no talk, If you don't pay me my pay at the end of month 1, next month I'm not going to show up in your site, And if you don't pay the operator, the machine people, they're not going to drive their excavators to the site immediately, tomorrow, stop work, They don't care. I mean, you can say that, oh, we have a contract with you. Yeah, fine, go ahead, sue them, It doesn't work that way, you see. So actually, management team is a very tight position, When you're going to use law and, the tough way with your ground resources, you're not going to get anywhere, So, but on the other hand, if your client use law and use all this tough way with you, it works, you see. So we are very subjective to that because we're not gangster, you see. We're saying, oh, you're going to sue me, I'm very scared, you see. So, but then when you talk like that to your operator, you say, I have a contract with you, it's 3 months, and they will say, you don't pay me, I don't want to work, so go ahead and sue me, so they don't care, You tell the laborer that I'm going to sue you because you're not coming to work. I'm going to bring you to the labor ordinance, and the labor department and sue you. They will tell you, you go ahead lah. And then by the time you bring them there, they're already on another side working already, as if they care, you see. So these are the tough spots that we actually have in a way, you see. So these are just to tell you that, when managing resources, it has to be done with some sort of balance and some sort of tech and some sort of PR skills involved as well. So a lot of patience, a lot of determination as a project engineer, actually. Okay, so when we come to money, no money, no talk. So capital or what we call the funding for the project is actually a very big resources. So that's why you need to manage costs, you need to manage project, you need to manage project budget. So these are one of the reasons, because money is one of the biggest resources in the project. Okay. Then we talk about machineries. There are many types of machineries. There are actually 3 categories. Number 1, there is the big, huge plant. Those can't be moved. When you have a concrete plant, when you have a batching plant on site, you can't move those things. Okay. Then you also have machineries. Machineries are the one that I was telling you guys about, in year 3, things like excavator, things like truck loader, things like lorries, things like cranes. These are all cranes. If it's a tower crane, they are considered as under the plant thing, you can't really move them. But if they're mobile crane, they are under machineries. And then you're going to have equipments. Equipments are smaller. Equipments are the things that you can put in the back of the lorry or put in the back of a car and move. The chainsaw, the generators, those are equipments, okay? So equipments are something that you can actually move around on site pretty much easily with 1 or 2 guys. You can carry it, in your hands, and all that. So those are equipments. And then you have tools, okay? Tools are actually like what, hammer, plier, spanner, you know, all these are tools, okay? So you got a few categories of plant, equipment, machineries, and also tools, okay? So these are your resources on site. So these things are supposed to work for you. Tools especially, you feel like, you know, they're so small, but if you don't have them, if, even a good thing, you know, a scissor, if you don't have them, it's a headache, okay? A pen knife, if you don't have them, it can be a headache. So it's about how we look after these sort of tools and equipment and plant. And normally, our biggest headache as engineers with tools, equipment, plant is machineries. Is they know us, we don't know them. Okay, we are machineries idiot. Okay, unless you are so love machines. Okay, and you know machines from A to Z. Otherwise, you will always find it like very confusing. People tell you that the bucket is broken, you need to use 5,000 to actually repair. You don't know whether there is a correct amount. You don't know whether it's a real problem. Machineries also are very subjected to thefts, you know, to people stealing the parts and selling them. Machinery also tends to be easily break down. There's downtime, there's maintenance. And how do you do maintenance? Who to do maintenance? How much maintenance? Why is it broken? Why is it rosak? You know, so we don't know. Is it so? As engineers, sometimes our very incompetent thing is machineries. You know, we don't really know. So a lot of times we need to be expert. You know, the suppliers or the mechanics. So it's always good to have very trusted mechanics, and or you have the machinery that comes with an operator. So those operators are the one that knows how to deal with the machines. Okay. Otherwise, it's almost impossible for us as engineer, even with 10, 20 years experience, to know your machines inside out, to be able to save costs and maintain it, and you know, make sure that you don't get cheated and all that. So otherwise, generally, we will just have to um, depend on mechanics and also a team of very trusted people to look after machines for you. Okay, so these are machineries. Okay, so machineries, like I said, it's not easy. So you also need to calculate the downtime. You know, calculate the maintenance. You know, calculate whether it's better to rent or to buy. You know, so but without them, the work doesn't go. So therefore, it is one of the very important resources on site to be managed. Okay. We will explain this a little bit more also as we go along and talk about costs later on, because all these are part of the cost for the project. Then also we have the most important thing, the things that stay in the project, and that is the material. Every material that you buy will stay in the project. It will be part of the end product. So material is the one that is not subjected to time. Material you can buy, okay? Machinery usually is charged by hour, month, week. Labor also the same, hour, month, week, okay? But yeah, hour, daily, month, that sort of things. Okay, but material is not. Material is you look at your drawings, you can calculate from the drawings how much concrete you need, how much steel you need, how much cement you need, how much pipe you need, how much piles you need. So it's all there. So that is on materials. Okay. So material wise, there is three parts. Number one, permanent. Things that will stay there. It would be part of the project, it would be part of the end product. So it's very important to get it right. It's very important to find to make sure that the quality that is being brought about, you know, there is actually a good one. Okay, the one that you actually look for. Okay, the one that you actually pay for. So that those are permanent materials. And then you have got temporary materials such as the formwork and also scaffolding. So these are the things that has to be there. Otherwise, your material, your other material doesn't work. Okay, but they will be taken off. So it's very easy to forget about them. It's very easy to forget about scaffolding and formwork when you start the project, when you're doing the project. Okay, and you don't calculate that in your cost, and that will be a disastrous thing. Okay, so make sure that you remember them. And then there are consumables. Consumables are like, you know, strings, tali, you know, those nails, wire, you know, those are the things that is there, you know, in your hands, but you tend to not remember them. And then you tend to waste them, you tend to throw them away, you tend to lose them. So this you have to be very careful with small things inside. So material is another big resources. So you have material, labor, machineries, more plant, equipment, machineries under one category. And then you've also got the management supervisory team. And a lot of times also we have subcontractors. Subcontractors, because nowadays a lot of work are very specialized work. So when you bring in like let's say if you're doing a development project, so maybe drainage work you don't do, as a general developer, but you have to get a specialist contractor to come and do the drains, okay? Or pipe, especially pipe, you have a specialist man layer to do your work for you, okay? So these are specialist subcontractor. And some subcontractor, they are just labor, machinery subcontractor. So they provide you with operators and machinery such as piling. Okay, so the piling subcontractor usually they will come with the machine and their own people to do the piling work. But you provide the materials. Okay, but especially subcontractor like pipelines, usually they will provide the materials, they will provide the labor, they will provide the machinery, everything they provide for. You only pay them one lump sum when they complete the job. So subcontractor is also a form of resources. So management, the direct management are also resources. So these are all what we call the direct resources and the direct cost of a project. The indirect one are like the corporate overheads and the site expenses, site as in the site office expenses. So those are indirect costs for a project. Okay. So your clerk don't get themselves dirty, to build the project for you, but they do the accounting, they do the paperwork, they write the letter, they do the memo, for the client, to communicate, they organize the meetings, they take down the minutes of the meeting, etc. So those are actually all very important as well resources. So basically, all these resources will be something that you have in your hands with the money. So as engineers, our job is to make sure that all these components are working well with one another according to the timeline and the schedule and according to the budget that you have. You want to make sure that all these resources are working harmoniously with one another. And that is the beauty of project management. You want to make sure that there are techniques, there are tools, to manage them, to make sure that they are working in accordance with what you want to do. Like I said before, you're the conductor. The machinery can be good, meaning that the pianist can be a perfect pianist. She's so good with her play. The violin, the whole team of orchestra, the winds are perfect. They are good. Your materials are all good, but then if you don't have a conductor who knows when to bring in what and when to stop what, you're going to have a mess. Okay? So the commander of the job is you, the project engineer or the project manager. So without a good commander, without a good engineer, you technically will not get a good piece of work at the end of the day. It's just that you have, you're doing a wall painting with 10 different artists. Okay, and then if you have one guy, or you have every guy that is good, but you don't have the final person who tells you who to do what, basically that final piece of work will be rubbish. Okay, it will be junk. That piece of orchestra, that piece of symphony will be junk. Our project will be rubbish, if you don't control. Okay, so if you don't manage it. So these different components, you need to know the characteristic of each and every component that you have. You need to know who you have on your team, what you have on your team, what are the resources that you have in your hands for your command. Are you sharing resources with another project? Are you having to manage a few projects at the same time? These are all very important questions that you have to answer. That is what we call characteristic of your resources. So if you don't know your resources, it's just that if you don't know your team member, you have 4 team members, you don't even know any one of them, you don't bother to understand any one of them, basically you're just going to be in trouble because you don't know who is good at what. You know, your friend next door may have not done RC design and you ask him to do RC. You see, so it's going to be disastrous, isn't it? So again, it's the same thing. You need to understand the characters of your resources and what you have in your hands. Then you can arrange them in such a way that it will play out to be the best way, because they can fully fulfill their mission as that particular resources. So my conclusion is you need to know your resources and what you have. And then from there, this characteristic, it will form the next stage, work breakdown. Okay, so then with all your resources, you need to combine them with your work breakdown structure. Okay, so work breakdown structure is technically a tool about how you can actually understand your project better. So from your work breakdown structure, which I will explain in the recorded lecture from this week, for week 4. So from your work breakdown structure, it's about splitting your job into small components and understanding each component in more detail. And each of these resources will be attached to this work, you see. So once you know, I need to do this work and these are the resources that I have, then you can plan your time, then you can plan your money. And then after you plan your time, your money, and your quality, and your risk, and your procurement, all those sort of things, then you are managing the project. Then you are actually controlling, then you're actually doing execution. The work is ongoing. And then finally, you are rectifying anything that is not good and, you know, successful completion to the project. So work breakdown structure will be our next lecture, basically, okay? So this next lecture that we have, I'll put it in pre-recorded. I'm still trying to find my notes from my work breakdown as well, okay? So now you understand resources. So these resources will be attached with the work breakdown. And when you attach the work breakdown, it's an exercise that you need to learn how to do. So this will be your assignment 1 later on, okay? And your assignment 1 will be finding a project and then combine it with your resources planning. It's going to be a pair work, and then you need to do it before the end of week 7. So by the end of week 7, you're supposed to hand in your resources planning assignment. That is 10% of your overall marks, okay? So people who has done project management with me and you're repeating this course, I'm so sorry, this year we are not going to get the same assignment, because previous year I've used Gantt chart as one of the assignment, but this year I'll probably still get you Gantt chart, but let's do resources planning first, okay? And I will put up the assignments by next week. By this week, I'll put up the assignments, but it will be in week 4, and then you're supposed to hand it in by maybe in 3 weeks' time. It's pair work. So after doing work breakdown structure class and resources planning class, I think you should be able to execute that, okay? So watch out for this week's pre-recorded lecture, okay? So this lecture here today, the resources introduction lecture, will be put up in week 3. Okay, understand? Huh? Any questions so far? Okay, no questions. You understand the lecture today? I have no notes, but I will post out some notes, so with the recording, you'll be able to understand better. Anyone here that Anyway, I don't think I want to do QR code today. I'm a bit stressed. I don't want to do QR code because then later on, some of you cannot key in and all that. So I will do an attendance record sheet on eLeap that you fill up before next Tuesday, okay? So I'll put up this recording later on, and then I'll also put up, just name me 3 important resources that you need to manage, okay? Just 3, yeah. I already named so many, yeah. Money, material, machineries, labor, management, subcontractor. I've already named 6, so you just name simply any 3 lah, huh? Name 3 and then punch enter in your attendance record, and I'll keep that as an attendance record. Is that clear? Is that okay? Everybody okay? Yeah. So go to Elix, download the lecture, maybe this tonight lah, huh? I'll put up the attendance record on Elix, and then you just have to punch in the three, okay? Because, yes, Richard?
Can we just bundle the management, contractor, and labor into a category called human resources?
Better not, because you need to understand the nature of them are actually different. Yeah. They are under human resources for sure, but then there are some indirect ones, there are some direct ones. So I always prefer it, you put it as a labor, as in labor means the site people who will get their hands on dirty. Management are the people in the supervisory team and above. Okay. So it is one. Like one is labor, one is management. Don't mix them. Subcontractor is another one, because subcontractor deals with sometimes machinery together as well. So we lump them under a different category of resources because they are managed differently, Richard. Any issues on this IDP that I can help you with? We will close up in about 10 minutes for Q&A, okay? So far, any problems with the pre-recorded lecture? Have you all downloaded from YouTube? I honestly tell you, don't do last minute work for project management. Don't not download, right? Because I've realized that in my past construction technology class in YouTube, the download rate can be only about 70, 80 people who download, So I'm a bit worried about that download rate. So it's either you download and pass it to your friends or or how, like you don't download lecture, you don't download my pre-recorded lecture, then how are you going to sit for exams later on? This project management, you don't have Dr. Lee to help you all. I tell you all. There's no assignments, no exam questions from her. So you don't have the nice one here, So you better watch your butt carefully, because if you don't download my lecture and then you don't listen to it, you don't read the notes, leave everything to the last minute, don't come crying. No, I'll see you again next year, okay? IDP, you all found your thing already? You all found your topo? Any issue with topo some more? Mostly developer will do topo. I can honestly tell you that there isn't a developer who is crazy enough to buy a piece of land without having to do some survey work. But even if they don't do it, when they apply for the project to be approved to SPA, State Planning Authority, they have to submit a topo together. The one cannot escape one. It's just that State Planning Authority will not have an archive of all the topo in Malaysia, you see. I can't advise you to get a topo from where. You have to go back to the piece of land, who owns that piece of land, and who owns that development. Ask them for the topo. That's it. Otherwise, you have to do your own survey work. The first person who get their hands on the topo is the person who owns the land. They will engage people to do the topo. Hey, you understand or not? Yeah. So you cannot, I repeat, you cannot go and get topo. You cannot go and knock on land and survey doors. So, hello, I am developing this land. Can I get a topo for this land? If like that, I tell you, no surveyor in the whole Kuching will have any job. Because the job of the surveyor, I think 70% is being engaged to do topo, okay? Not 70, at least 50% of the job is engaged to do topo. So developer will engage surveyor to do topo. They have to engage surveyor to do topo. There's no other people to do topo. The surveyor will sign on the topo, and the topo will actually have things even like the boundary, the existing water pipelines, SESCO lines, you know, that kind of detail, you know. If let's say this is a development project, they will be asked to survey all this besides the land profile, you know. Even if it's a roadwork project like Bengkulu or Pemborneo or water pipeline project, surveyor will also survey the topo one, and is always engaged by the client one. So engineers, our job is to get it from the owner of the project. So if you have gone to an owner and you say that, oh, can I have a piece of land? Then they should have a topo if they are planning to develop that land, or they have already started the development of that land, or especially if the land is actually being put up to state planning authority already. That means it's already in the midst of asking for approval. So my advice to you is, you don't go to internet and simply download a piece of land and take a cadastral plan and say you want to find topo. You cannot work that way. Or the other way that you want to do like that also can use Google Map. So that means you simply go and take a cadastral of a piece of land somewhere in Samarahan or in Kuching or wherever that is empty, and then you take a cadastral, and then you take a cadastral and go and overlap with your Google Map. That's it. That is the worst case advice that I can give you, and that will be the worst advice that I can give you. Okay? But if you have no choice, that's what you do. Okay? And the other proper way, of course, is you go to see a developer, ask them, do you have any land that you are planning to develop or on the way of being developed or in SPA asking for approval? Then you ask them to give you a topo together with that piece of land. That is the easiest, most accurate way. Okay? Plan A, plan B, you choose yourself. But week 4 already, if you're still having this sort of issue, then you're having a big issue. Okay, I think you have to go and look for Google Map already. That will be the lousiest solution, but it's still a solution after all, isn't it? Okay. Any other questions? Few more minutes. Anyone else have any questions? No? Okay. So, okay, remember, tomorrow onwards, go to the attendance sheet to fill up week 2 attendance and week 3 attendance. Week 3 attendance will be today's attendance. So please fill it up. Otherwise, your attendance not enough. Don't come crying to me, okay?